Welcome back to the Online Motivation Show. Alright, I'm Hilman Basri. As we all said, today we are going to talk about failures. Alright, what is failure? Of course, people know what failures are. Alright, is when you when you are not able to do a certain task, you fail to do a task. That's where you become a failure. Alright, of course, more generally, people consider failures to be in terms of examinations and stuff like that. Of course, that's a more elaborate and more basic type of thought when it comes to failures. But now, the question is, are we supposed to fear failure? You see, a lot of my shows, a lot of my talks and my lectures, when we talk about failures, a lot of them says that, almost 80% says that they are afraid of failure. Okay, who would blame them? I mean, I'm afraid of failure too. But sometimes what we fail to realize that if we do not suffer those failures, we might not even know what is expected of us to do. Right? The fact of the matter is, when you try to do something and you fail in doing it, at least you know that, right? There's always, if there is a next time to do something similar, you will do it better because you know what to think about, what to actually consider before doing a certain task. Alright, so likewise, why are people always fear of failures? Because you see, the ironic thing is society around the world consider failure to be a weakness. Alright, what we often didn't realize that successful people, alright, people of high status, if you ask them, they actually said that they bounced from multiple failures. I repeat that, multiple failures. None of them will say that they are a perfectionist, right? They have never failed in their entire life. Those who say that, chances they might not be as prominently out there as we all are. Because, face it, we are human beings, we face failures most of the time, and what makes us even stronger is that we bounce back from that failure. Alright, and the worst thing to do is, when you stumble upon a failing block, you just stop there and wouldn't want to actually try it again. That's the worst attitude. So what I'm trying to say today is, when it comes to failures, right, you have to see things from a positive perspective. Alright, in any type of thing. Okay, sometimes a failure can be the motivation platform to you achieving greater heights. But what a lot of us, the stereotype is failure means weakness, and therefore weakness means you are not capable of doing something, therefore you are not worth or not good at anything. Alright, you need to have a certain type of self-respect as self-worth. Alright, a failure doesn't determine you. Alright, but when you bounce back from that failure, alright, when you look back, have a certain type of reflections, I can assure you that you will feel so enlightened and fulfilled in your entire life. Alright, I remember when I was in my final year in high school, and my teacher asked me to write a composition about myself. So I told her regarding what I did before this and blah blah blah. And then she actually put down a note saying that, an achievement is much more memorable and wonderful because the sweetest achievement is when you face a whole series of challenges and failures. After that, you bounce back from it and then you achieve your ultimate goal. That's the sweetest achievement. So those words actually have been embedded into my mind and my heart and my soul, so much so that for me, failures just means that I have to try it again. It is simple to just give up because of a failure. It can become like an excuse because you failed once and then therefore you don't want to do it again. It's like when we learn driving, we failed the first time, chances of us giving up is very high. Alright, you fail the second time, it's even higher, the third time is even higher. I've heard of people who passed driving after 25 times. I give that guy a credit because he actually doesn't give up. And the fact of the matter is, he bounced back from that failure. You see, it doesn't really shows whether you are good in driving just because you pass one time. I tell you, sometimes the worst type of drivers that I see on the road every single day are those drivers whom possibly, pass the first time. Maybe. Alright, I'm just assuming. Alright, and I'm just putting on a generalization, stereotyping, being biased or whatever it is. But sometimes, the fact of the matter is, when you suffered a certain glitch of failures, it actually not just represents strength, it represents determination. Okay, it can be a start to something extravagant in the future. Alright, we have to see things from a lot of possibilities. Alright, we are living in a world of possibilities. Alright, stop thinking that we are living in a niche, that there's no possibility in this and that. Alright, there's a lot of things that, when I relate to people who listens to my lectures about my past, there's a lot of things that when in my past I only dream of doing, but now that I managed to accomplish doing it, I told myself, when they asked me, how do you know, how do you manage to actually accomplish this? My answer to them is exactly the same answer to the motivational speaker, to the lecturer, to the counselors that I worked with in the past. My answer is always after suffering from a couple of failures. After many failures. I wouldn't say that, oh, I know this because I'm an expert in this particular field. Therefore, I don't like to portray people like that. Because the fact of the matter is, when you portray to people that you are perfect, you put a different representation and people will have a different interpretation of you. People will think that, oh, he achieved this because only this type of people, this perfectionist type of people can achieve such things. Oh, come on, this is so not happening, right? Because for me, alright, I believe that everyone is equal no matter what, alright? You have the capabilities, regardless of race, language, or religion, you can achieve anything, alright? And I believe anything, okay? It's about how you want things to happen, right? How you want to work for it. Because a lot of times, we fail to do things because we actually do not want to really work for it, alright? A lot of times, we say failure is an excuse for us to stop trying. A lot of times we just fail to see that, if we stumble upon a failure, we can never bounce back up. That is what maybe a lot of your enemies want you to think. Which is why there's a lot of people who often says that, if I fail, a lot of people will say this about me. Is that we are so intrigued, we are so concerned about what other people who hardly know ourselves talk about us when we fail to see what kind of potential is embedded into us. You see, when I counsel students, alright, I always tell them, they know themselves better than anyone in the world. I don't know them, but I try my very best to understand them. Alright, I will never get to know them 100%. What they do, alright, in their past, what they do, they can only relate to me to a certain extent, but I can never understand them. I can never understand their true inner feelings, and whatever they are going through, the challenges they are facing is totally different from mine because of our socioeconomics or our lifestyle, etc., etc. But one thing that I can tell is what's going to be similar to any one of us is that once we face a certain type of blockage in pursuit of our in pursuit of our happiness and our pursuit of our happiness and our goals, one thing for sure that everyone will need to bounce back from something. Okay, alright, I hardly seen anyone who stop after one failure. Alright, because in school, maybe you fail a lot of times, and then after that, you become an adult, you enter into the workforce. There must be something that you accomplish. There must be something that you want to work with. If you have never done that at all, then my advice is to actually kind of like work towards it. Right? Maybe it's time to change. When we talk about changes, we talk about how changes actually develops new beginnings. Alright, in order for something to happen, you have to be adaptable to change, and then you have to be acceptable to it, and be open to its change, and then something will come up in the end. Alright, it can be the sweetest achievement you can ever had in your entire life. So the same thing, a lot of beautiful achievements comes from changes. Alright, comes from us being open to changes, and most of the time, a lot of more wonderful experience, a lot of wonderful achievements started out from a single failure. A single failure. Imagine if you have a lot of failures. Alright, there's a lot of things to learn because we learn from mistakes most of the time without us realizing it. A lot of our lives cycle, we learn from mistakes, but we always kind of like, see mistakes or failures as a negative thing. That's why we hardly actually applaud failures, but we applaud achievements so much. We are so flattered or so narcissistic about ourselves so much that we fail to see that the reason why we are up there in one point of our time in our achievement is because of one particular failure or several failures that we actually suffered before. Hardly, when we talk to people in general, they will often say when we ask questions like what do you regret in your life, they will often say that they should have done this, but they never say it because they fail because they fail doing this, but they will say that I failed to do this, I failed to do this. If I have done this, then this will not happen. But remember, let's say if they have done that and then they fail to do that, alright, then they bounce back from that failure, I tell you, things will be much more wonderful for them. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities. Okay, failure is not a blockage. It's not a death sentence. It's not a dead end. The people who think like that are always the people who are always afraid of failures, afraid of change. All right, but they are often, people who never face failures in their lives are often assumed to be perfect. But one way to actually test their capabilities is that one day when they actually stumble upon a certain bit of failure, you see how they actually handle with that pressure, right? The fact the matter that you actually as an individual face failures so many times that you do not actually care that you stumble upon another failure because you know what to do next, alright? A failure just means that you have to work harder towards achieving your goals, alright? A failure just means that you have to, find other routes or other course of actions in order to reach that goal, alright? And for me, most of my failures, alright, are because, alright, I know what causes that failure in the first place. So sometimes this is what they said, reverse engineer. We try to reverse engineer the way we actually think, we actually decide and make decisions and stuff like that in order to avoid those failures, right? So I wouldn't say how to avoid. I couldn't give you any tips of how to avoid failures if you have never stumbled upon a failure before, alright? Because it takes one to know one. So it takes you to actually go through a certain failures to know what failures is all about. So if you want to avoid failures, you have to have the experience of experiencing failures before. Then you know how to avoid it the next time. Even then, if let's say you try to avoid it, you still stumble upon failures, alright, then you try to work things out again. It just gets better. I can promise you every failure gets better as you go on. But the worst is when you stumble upon one failure and then you give up. I told you use failure as an excuse for you to stop trying. That's the worst, right? Because people who behave like that, I tell you, they couldn't achieve anything at all. And worst of all, they would not know what their ultimate potential in life is. Basically, a lot of times, I will tell it to my experience. A lot of other motivational speakers will tell it to their experience that they stumble upon massive failures. Sometimes even businessmen, they will say that they lose millions of dollars before they actually bounce back up again. Alright, it's that courage to challenge themselves to go through the same motion the second time, the third time, the numerous time. That's the challenge, and that is actually the best reward for an individual. Alright, so today when I actually give my motivational talk, my motivational talks, alright, sorry, I got tongue-tied for some reasons, but today when I actually delivered my talk, I portray to people as, I'm just a normal, common person just like them, alright, who went through failures, who went through numerous kinds of challenges, and some challenges that I thought I could not actually handle, but alright, God's will and the perseverance that I had in me, alright, I actually managed to do it. Not alone. Sometimes I require some help from the people around me, like my loved ones, or like my the people who help me in terms of my care and stuff like that. So sometimes, in order to achieve something, there are times where you require help from people. You see, when I say but require help, I'm not demeaning that you cannot achieve things alone, right? A lot of times they say the best success is the success that you achieve alone. Yes, but bear in mind, even when I achieve, getting my degree or my qualification, higher education qualifications, you have to understand that the sacrifice that your family actually made for you. And I understand that. I would say that, without my family support, I wouldn't reach that height. So there are always people that you have to thank for. We thank the people for our success, but I can assure you nobody actually thank the failure for their success. But most of the time, it is that failure that was actually the gearing block, right, that started the ball rolling before you actually achieved that success. Alright, so my experience is through those disgusting failures that I had during my high school days, that actually I kind of like jumpstart and then work my way up again. Alright, when teachers gave up on me, everyone looked at me like I'm just an average student who cannot do anything. Alright, that can be your motivation platform, right? Because sometimes there are times where I say to people, yes, motivational talks is good, but sometimes you have to understand motivation only start once. Okay, you have a motivation that you want to do something, but if you still do not do it, alright, it will just remain there, right? But if that motivation, in pursuit to that goal, you have that motivation, you have that drive, and then you stumble on a failure in pursuit of that goal, at least when you start doing it again, right, you still see that the momentum is there. Rather when you just give up and then after that, 10 years after that, you just say that, oh, I wanted to become like that, but then after that I failed, and then that's it, there's no motivation in that at all. So failures is just the start of it, right? It's just one of the challenges, right? Look at failures as a challenge and not a burden, right? A lot of people look at it as a burden. That's why they don't actually get to do things that they want. Alright, so basically, success don't come in cheap. Alright, achievements don't come in easy. Changes, alright, is not easy, as I mentioned before. Alright, so I just have to, I don't know how to say this, but if you actually stumble upon a failure, my advice is do it the second time. Alright, maybe you try to reverse engineer whatever system that you did before, try to work things out, and do the second time. You fail again, never mind, the third time, do it numerous times, because at the end of the day, it's your will of trying and beat the odds after numerous failures that is actually your driving block to actually reach the ultimate goal. It's not really so much of the motivation. Yes, I mean, people can motivate you, you can watch TV, I can help you motivate you, but the decision is up to you. Alright, if let's say after I motivate you and then you stumble upon a failure and then you stop, I felt that my effort is being put to waste, because the reason is that I can only motivate you once because you want to achieve that goal. So right now, alright, no matter what, you have to tell yourself that I have to achieve that goal no matter what. So if I have to stumble upon a failure, I have to stand back up and then reach back to that goal, because that is my ultimate reward that I'm searching for. Alright? Do not stop just on one failure. Alright? I went through numerous failures. Alright? All successful people, they will tell you they went through numerous failures, and when they achieve what they want, is actually the most bittersweet memories that they ever had. So my advice to my friends out there, those listening to my talk, okay, I can go on and on about failures, alright, but this time, because it's more like a chat between me to you, I just want to say this: failure doesn't determine you. Even success doesn't determine you. There's always future success, alright, there's always future challenges to work for. Alright, failures, there's always a second chance, a third time. That's why I hate phrases like there's no second chance, there's no turning back on your words. I hate those phrases. It sounds so profound and so nice to hear, but they actually are degrading you, right? The fact of the matter is, there is always a second chance. There is always a way for you to go back on your words and then try to work things out, right? So stop telling people there's no second chance, or because imagine if God tells you that there's no second chance after you committing a sin, you cannot even get any redemption out of it. You are just in for a lot of trouble. All right, so God is great, right? And the world is supposedly a fair place to be with. So please, all right, failure is just one way to tell you that you will do it better the next time, right? It doesn't determine you, right? Usually people come to me saying that they failed to do this. I'll just tell them, right, okay, why not you try it again? Give it a try, because there is no hurt trying, but there will be a hurt, a long series of years to come of hurt and pain when you stop trying. Because the moment you stop trying, you stop believing yourself, all right, there are going to be other problems that are going to be surfaced, right? Other stress as well as unhealthy lifestyle that is awaiting for you at that point in time. So I don't want to give examples, because some examples will appear to be a bit biased of how people who stop trying and then they tend to keep on whining after that, because there's just too many of that people out there. You don't want to be categorized like that. So one way is to jumpstart after one failure and do it again and again and again until you reach your ultimate goal. Because my friends, that is what you are here for. Alright, you want to achieve what you're good at. Alright, you want to know what's your capability. You want to challenge yourself. Alright, in order to challenge yourself, you have to bounce back. Alright, you can't just stop after one failure. You have to do it again and again and again. Multiple failures. Alright, remember, failure doesn't determine you at all. Please, again and again, I always say this thing. You can write it on your diary or on the wall of your room. Alright, failures doesn't determine me. Alright, but failures is actually the first step of you realizing your dreams, getting closer to you as per normal. Alright, and I will say this again, as an individual, alright, I never consider myself to be perfect. I went through so much in my life as well, alright, in terms of education, in terms of relationship, in terms of health. I went through so much, but there is never a time that I said, I'm going to give up, because there is something to worth living for. So find that trump card and then go out there to work for it. I can motivate you for a start, but you have to be the one wanting it, because the hunger is in you. Alright? I can just be like, if you're going for a marathon, I can just be at the side running beside you and I keep cheering for you, but the hunger to win, it comes from you. So be that person, and I can assure you, my friends, you will not regret every moment that you bounce back from every failure. Alright, so it's me, Hilman Basri, signing out. Okay, if you have any comments regarding today's topic, alright, you can just drop some emails on my email address, as well as if you've got any queries, you want to remain anonymous regarding things, or there are topics that you want to talk about, you can just drop an email. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. When there's a lot of demand on the same topic, then I will come out with the topic of the video soon enough. Alright, so it's me, Hilman Basri, from the Online Motivation team. Hug and kisses from us. Goodbye.